So many new exciting indie games have been announced, so here are some which I'm watching, beginning with System Overload, a 2D acrobatic action shooter with parry-focused combat and fluid movement. Jump, dash and fire in all directions while dodging enemy projectiles as you destroy an evil robot megacorp in the dystopian city, where their playtest just launched to get access via the Steam page. Arcane Fist is a 3D platform fighter with elemental combat, taking inspiration from the spellcasting battle royale title Spellbreak, as well as Avatar: The Last Airbender. Jump, dash and weave around arenas while unleashing fire, water and earth-based attacks using movement and spacing to outplay opponents in chaotic encounters, where the goal is to knock them off the level. Choose from different fighters tied to specific elements, each with unique abilities, having 2 modes in 1v1 and 3v3 with a cool art style, although some optimization might be required. This video is brought to you by Alpha Nomos, a rhythmic action roguelite where you hack and slash your way through enemies in tune with the beat in a vibrant, melody-twisted world. You play as Cello, a marionette fighting your way through waves of rogue puppets in which you are rewarded for timing your attacks to the beat, giving stronger hits and more impactful combos when moves are synced. But it is not just limited to the major beats, but also with quick 8th notes and rests being used in punishing combos. Collect musical themed power-ups during runs that alter both your fighting capabilities and the way you sound, with upgrades inspired by real-world musical terminology that shape your build in every run. Your actions will breathe new life back into a devastated world where I love my rhythm games, so this immediately got my attention, so if interested, try the free demo on Steam and wishlist the game. Kalit is a survival crafting game with striking rubber hose animation where exploration and creature taming are the core drivers of the experience. Roam across land and underwater zones, gather resources, mine materials and capture creatures that help with farming, combat or utility tasks. Build out your base, craft tools and vehicles, then expand operations to support deeper expeditions into more dangerous regions. A key system here are the captured creatures, letting you automate tasks or to gain advantages depending on what you tame, so a little Pal World-like for sure, with the expected survival crafting elements, although people do seem mixed on the art style, with some saying that this is Temu Cuphead. So what do you think? Splash Divers is a cozy underwater exploration game where relaxing diving and discovery take center stage, focusing on documenting marine life and being free in the water. Swim through vibrant ocean environments, observe sea creatures and take photos to build out a personal collection, tracking what you have seen in your own personal journal. Movement feels free and fluid, letting you explore reefs, caves and open waters at your own pace while interacting with wildlife and collecting small trinkets with no timers or oxygen meter to manage. There's also multiplayer support and a hub area to hang out in, looking super adorable and very pleasant. An intense-looking title is Blue Wyrm, a psychedelic first-person melee action game where precise combat and tight movement define every encounter inside a surreal dungeon. Swing, block, and position yourself carefully using directional attacks and timing to deal with enemies that punish sloppy execution. You have to be aware of space and the position of enemies at all times, learning their movement and attack patterns, and countering with your own when the time is right. It's not quite a Souls-like, but not exactly an all-action spam attacks kind of game either, definitely having more of a deliberate pace, or as you delve deeper into the crypt of the Blue Wyrm in search of your wife. Bloomies is a cozy bottom-of-screen idle game with monster collecting and farming elements where you hatch creatures from eggs, then manage them as they wander, interact and slowly grow over time. Water them, collect resources and expand your collection, with occasional battles playing out automatically against shadow Bloomies that appear. You can level up your skills to automate gameplay, making it more idle as you go along, where I just love looking at the creature designs in games like this, with evolution adding additional creatures to look forward to, as well as rare variants to unlock, and thus look very charming. Tachyon Flow is a third-person parkour runner which is very Mirror's Edge-like, where speed and execution are everything, sending you through obstacle courses that require constant movement and precision. Sprint, jump, slide and vault across the environment, chaining actions together to maintain momentum while reacting to upcoming hazards in real time. Momentum is key since missing a timing window can completely break your flow, but that just means you have to recover on the fly. It does still look quite early in development, with placeholder looking assets in the levels, but still, the Mirror's Edge-like looks to be a growing trend which I do appreciate since I don't think we'll be getting a mainline entry anytime soon. A narrative-driven cyberpunk simulation is Steel Soul Shaper, where you run a back alley clinic repairing and modifying cyberware for a wide range of clients. Take on jobs, inspect damaged implants and use specialized tools to weld, patch and restore mechanical parts piece by piece, source new components and customize them with paint, decals and enhancements to fulfill each request, and in narrative sim fashion, your decisions on how you help or hinder your customers will have an effect on the larger world. Clients come in with their own stories and sometimes questionable demands, so you have to weigh the risk and rewards of riskier modifications for better pay, where I'm always down for some cyberpunk, and this looks great. Another surreal first-person title is Biomeat Huskworld, and what a name that is, being a boomer shooter with a trippy twist, throwing you into a grotesque, decaying world where everything feels slightly off. Play as a stitched-together creature, moving through bizarre environments, shooting, punching, and interacting with strange beings that can be allies one moment and enemies the next. Combat is raw and aggressive, but the real hook is the shifting nature of the world, where locations are in your biocognitive systems and might not follow the laws of physics. Oh, and also, meat is the currency in this world, looking so weird and trippy, reminding me of Golden Light and might be of interest. Crownkeep is a roguelite deck builder dungeon crawler where tactical card combat and exploration thrive each run through a cursed fantasy realm. Build a deck of abilities, spells and equipment, then move through branching paths, choosing encounters, battles and rewards as you descend deeper. There is turn-based combat on the grid, where your position, cards and the timing of abilities matter, adding relics and equipment into the mix which lets you create powerful combinations in every run. Progression comes from unlocking new cards, characters and upgrades, gradually expanding your options with a cool pixel art look as well. The idle auto-battler RPG Berserk B.I.T.S has been chugging along with their events and updates, the latest of which is a crossover with Among Us, adding a new playable Battle Intelligent Teammate or BIT, 5 new collectible chips, a new biome and Among Us themed decorations. This very Mega Man Battle Network-like title has your BIT fighting viruses at the bottom of your screen, with plenty of upgrades and customization options for both your BIT as well as their digital home, being a good one of these, with the many updates simply adding more to it over time. A chaotic co-op survival game is Trial and Error, where you and up to 3 others attempt to survive a disastrous journey across an unforgiving frontier, travel together with a wagon, haul supplies, manage food and health, and deal with random events that constantly threaten to derail your run. Movement and interactions are physics-based, so even simple tasks like carrying items or navigating terrain can go horribly wrong in the funniest ways possible. Disasters hit often, from illness spreading to weather turning hostile in the form of lightning strikes and more, forcing you to adapt on the fly or suffer the consequences. Yep, this is essentially Friend Slop Oregon Trail, but I'm not complaining since it looks fun, so maybe keep an eye on this one. One of the best point-and-click adventure game series returns with the Darkside detective Backside of the Moon, adding more bizarre cases set in a supernatural version of Twin Lakes. Play as Detective McQueen alongside the ever-clueless Officer Dooley, clicking through scenes, collecting items, and piecing together solutions to solve strange mysteries. Each case has you examining environments, combining items, and talking to characters, with puzzles that range from straightforward to slightly obtuse, but always playful in design, as is evident from the title of the game. If you have not played the earlier releases, I would strongly encourage you to check those out, with the writing and humour being on point, along with the throwback pixel art, which is very well done. A gritty first-person parkour game is VHOLUME, set in a dystopian bureaucratic city, where you sprint, jump, climb and slide through towering concrete structures, chaining movement together to maintain speed while navigating maze-like environments. Maintain your momentum as you take corner jumps and optimize your route through the city, letting you find shorter paths or even break intended layouts entirely. You're not just getting from point A to B, but learning the level, shaving seconds off, and improving execution with each attempt. Interestingly, there is a story here which follows a man trying to reclaim his family's revoked ration tickets, giving context to your climb through the city, also looking to be Mirror's Edge inspired, but with a much different setting and visual style. ReBlade The Death Spiral is a fast-paced action roguelite that looks absolutely sick, throwing you into a cyberpunk world inspired by Chinese mythology. Play as a condemned synthetic, marked for destruction, but somehow gets trapped in a loop of endless resets, having to cut your way through mechanical creatures with tight melee combat as you read enemy patterns and strike at the right moment. Each run has you combining weapons, chips and augments to shape your build, adjusting how you approach combat as enemies get more complex. It does seem to have some strong Sekiro inspiration as well, which you can see in the parry-focused combat system, where offense might be the best defense and has some of the best art that I have ever seen. A hybrid shooter strategy game is Noblemen 1941, set in an alternate version of World War II, where you're not just fighting on the ground, but also commanding the battlefield. Drop into third-person combat, take cover, fire weapons, and engage enemies directly, then pull back to deploy troops, build fortifications, and command your troops, capturing key locations when considering the larger battlefield. There's a constant back and forth between action and command, deciding when to fight and when to direct your forces, with the gritty alt history period looking especially cool due to the giant mechs. Level up your noble hero, unlock abilities and customize loadouts while managing resources across larger campaigns looking sick as hell, and apparently is by a developer comprising of 4 brothers, which is very impressive work. Fresco is an action-adventure puzzle game where ancient Egyptian wall paintings come to life and become playable. Explore temples in 3D as an archaeologist, then switch into a 2D fresco character etched into the walls, moving across surfaces and interacting with the environment from a completely different perspective. Definitely having some Super Mario Odyssey vibes. Solve puzzles that span both dimensions, where actions in one affect the other, so you have to think across spaces rather than just within them. There are also combat elements, both in side-scrolling as well as first-person, along with traps and massive guardians to battle, looking quite clever, so I'm looking forward to this. Project Landsword is a fast-paced top-down mech shooter where destruction is the main event, sending you into dense urban battlefields which you can blow up piece by piece. Pilot a heavily armed mech, dodge incoming fire, and unload on enemies that each have distinct patterns and behaviors, making you think about how to approach every encounter based on the type of enemy as well as the geography. Buildings, vehicles, and environmental objects all crumble when blown up, but persist as debris, turning every mission into a shifting battlefield. Customize your mech with different weapons and parts before heading out on the next mission, changing your loadout as needed depending on the objective and expected resistance, with a sick pixel art look as well. The next title from Dunksoft, developer of Gato Roboto, is Dark Scrolls, a 2D roguelite platformer filled with enemies and projectiles where you have to be constantly on the move in fast-paced stages. Run, jump and fight through levels that might be closer to a bullet hell at times, weaving between attacks while dishing out your own in tight spaces. Pick up abilities, spells and upgrades as you go, shaping how each run plays out depending on what you find, with a variety of playable characters and even co-op support, where this too is being published by Devolver, so I have high expectations of this. Escape by Spoon is a first-person sandbox escape game where you start in a prison cell with nothing but a spoon and somehow have to dig your way out. Chip away at walls and dig tunnels underground, slowly upgrading your tools so you can push deeper more quickly while trying to avoid getting caught. Expand your tunnel network and figure out how best to manage resources while making progress bit by bit, with the throwback art and rubber hose animation of course being the highlight. I was curious as to why Darkwood 2 was being made by another developer, and it turns out that Hoarder might have been a contributing factor, coming to us from the co-creator of that survival horror title, and is a genre-bending first-person experience that starts off as a simple cleaning simulator before spiraling into something far more unsettling. Clear out a cluttered house, pick up objects, sort through junk, and follow a to-do list, but the deeper you get, the more things start to break down. A hidden basement leads into something that defies logic, shifting the game from routine chores into exploration and discovery. By day, pilot a submarine and venture into dark underwater zones using tools to navigate and recover strange objects from the abyss. Bring them back, sort through what you find, and decide what's worth keeping as you slowly piece things together. The world is fully interactive and physics-driven, so everything can be picked up, examined, or moved, having a standout visual style as well, and is certainly of note. We did get a new trailer for Blight Survival as well, a PvE action horror title set in a grim medieval world, where a strange plague has resulted in zombies being created. Fight through infected zones using brutal melee combat, either solo or with up to 3 others, taking down both human enemies and creatures twisted by the Blight. There are directional attacks, and a more deliberate pace to the action, mixing in exploration and scavenging as you loot houses looking for resources and other valuables, then deciding whether to extract safely or risk pushing deeper for better rewards. Build out your loadout with different weapons, armors, and talents, enhanced in co-op as you use complementary builds where this continues to look awesome, although we still do not have a date or even a release window. I came across Empire Ward of Die Rot on Twitter and was immediately enraptured with his art style, being a slow, meditative survival journey where you travel across a bleak, abandoned medieval continent while carrying a cursed artifact. Walk long distances on foot, manage stamina and supplies, scavenge ruined settlements, and decide when to push forward or turn back and attempt another path. I don't think there's combat where the game is about carrying weight, both literally and morally, and more about endurance and decision making, where every step forward carries risk depending on what you're carrying and how prepared you are. The artifact itself is key, growing heavier and becoming more difficult to manage over time, but what a sick looking title, so more like this please. Mariachi Legends is a brutal Metroidvania taking place in a stylized version of Mexico where you engage in fast combo-driven combat as you slice through enemies and powerful bosses. Play as a detective who strikes a pact with Lady Death, gaining the ability to transform into a powerful alter ego named La Sombra, granting him the strength to fight against evil, slash and shoot your way through combat, unlocking new weapons, abilities and upgrades as the game progresses, with there being a town building system where completing missions brings life back to the world, unlocking shops, side missions and interactions with characters, also having an extensive cooking system. There are also various times of day which affect what you see in the various locations, so plenty to explore and do while you hunt down a man who defied death herself and became immortal. .45 Parabellum Bloodhound is another Parasite Eve-like title in development, a cyberpunk action RPG with a unique active time action system which mixes real-time movement with tactical pauses in combat. Play as a washed-up mercenary trying to rebuild her life, moving through densely packed levels filled with enemies, where you fight by evading attacks, repositioning and waiting for your action window, then freezing time to unleash powerful moves. This tells the tale of a killing machine emerging from depression, having to rebuild her life, which of course leads to her going back to her old ways in hopes of salvation, coming to us from the developer of Valhalla cyberpunk bartender action, which is curious since I thought they were working on Nirvana, so that game might be on the back burner for now. Watch this video for more of the best indie games.